Imagine a bomb like this flying into a stadium full of people. And yes, it's not only imagination, it will happen. And I'm pretty sure, because I can tell you why. This is a drone. This drone maybe cost $400. It's easy to make and easy to order. And this bomb can be carried by this drone. So it's basically possible for future terroristic attacks carried out by Islamists, also by Russian agents. Scheiße. Like this. It will be dropped by drones like these. And it has a kill radius of about 10 meters and a hurt radius of at least 20. So imagine the stadium situation. I think that maybe 100 or more people will be just dead or extremely wounded. And as you know, in Europe, we don't even could get rid of these knife crimes, yeah, like because Arabs with knives attacking our people. Now imagine they're flying with drones and explosives. Can we get rid of this? I think it will be very hard. But we must, because it's a realistic danger for all security. You might think that, and I was doing the same back then, that this is like high and complex technology. But to be honest, it's not. It can be assembled by a child, basically. And I guess in Russia they even do this. It's just like, some electric motors from China you can get very cheap, some steel screws, and some flight board. And that's all. You have to need a camera control system also, but that's basically all you need to carry out a very deadly and hard to fight off terroristic attack. And as you know, Russia, of course, is using a lot of one-time agents, like agents which do one thing and then they just get thrown away, basically. But with this, they don't even need them anymore, because this agent, this terrorist, can just sit 20 kilometers away from his operation zone and fly with this drone somewhere, kill people, take out power stations like vulnerable places of our society, and even carry out terroristic attacks like on Christmas markets. Basically, we have a lot of this in Germany, or even on stadiums. Think about this. As you know, especially in security tech and defense tech, we want to get rid of Chinese parts. And China has a big problem with that, because otherwise they will lose their clients and they will lose the possibility to just kill switch our technology. And even this is like some part where they can use these drones to fight us off. Because when our plant it's damaged or even destroyed by a lot of these drones with small or big bombs, I think it will be a bad thing for Europe and bad for our security at all, of course. Maybe you think that I'm telling here it's like some maybe can be future scenarios, but look at the Ukraine war. What is Ukraine doing? They have a lot of less production capabilities, but they took off already near to 40% of Russia's oil production. So you know that Russia is basically living from the export of oil and gas, and 40% of this were taken out in a few weeks, and only because Ukraine was able to use long range and of course cheap drones. You can just imagine, like, when you count together what the loss of one oil refinery and the cost of maybe, even when it's 50 drones with some small or big explosions are, you know what war today is about. As you maybe remember, unfortunately in Germany were a lot of terroristic attacks on, for example, our Christmas markets. People took cars or even trucks to drive through and just override the people there. Okay, this problem is basically solved, or it can be solved when we just put some beton blocks in the entrances and no car can pass there. But what would you do against drones like these? You want to put up like a whole net of fishing nets about these markets? You know, it's basically unrealistic. And it's better to recognize the drones first than doing this kind of preparations, because it's not necessary anymore, thanks to Ukrainian defense tech inventions. Terroristic attacks today can have different phases. It's not only like the attack on a stadium or the Christmas market. It can be the attack on specialized persons like CEOs of some companies, politicians, or somehow people who are influential for the West and important for us. And it can also be like things like power stations, transformator stations, where they can hurt us a lot. You know, right now it's even possible to get to these power stations and bring some explosive and blow it up, but imagine you can do it with a drone, and you can already. So you just can take a whole city or even more of the electric grid with nearly no risk for you to get catched. Even it's possible to carry out terroristic attacks basically in buildings. For example, they can fly into a school and kill our children, or they can just take off our ports, where maybe the petrol is coming or the gas is coming. Imagine a drone with the explosive flies into a ship full of highly flammable gas in the German port. I think it will be not so good for our economy, of course. Just think about the explosion in the Lebanon harbor back then, which wiped out basically the half of the city. I think with drones, this will even be possible in Western Europe, and I think that we don't want this. The civilized world, and especially Western Europe, must be prepared for the war, not of the future, for the war which is it right now. We must get ready and prepared for drone attacks in every kind. It's coming from the big Shahed drone to the small ones I just showed, and we must be ready to fight them off. For this, we must be ready to detect them before they even see us and before they are ready to fight us. And that is what I appeal to every security company or even like police. Be ready to fight off drones in every kind and every time. And of course, everywhere. Because as the latest things showed in Western Europe, they appear everywhere, not only at the border to Russia.